Loreta Velazquez. Velazquez was born in Cuba on June 26, 1842. She was born into a wealthy family, and her father was a Spanish government official who owned plantations in both Mexico and Cuba. As a young girl, Velazquez developed an admiration for Joan of Arc and had a desire to emulate her deeds and make a name for herself as a woman of courage who would fight for a great cause. In her early teens, she was sent to New Orleans. She met an officer in the U.S. Army at the age of 14, and she eloped. When the Civil War began, she was an enthusiastic supporter of the Confederacy. She wanted to join the army, but her husband wouldn't allow it. Since she couldn't persuade her husband to allow her to fight, she waited for him to leave in order for her to turn into a male soldier named Lieutenant Harry T. Buford. Wearing her disguise, she managed to fool officers and soldiers because she walked with a masculine gait, smoked cigars, perfected the ability to spit, and patted the arms of her coat to appear more muscular. She would also glue on a fake mustache, and she cut off her hair. She fought in a few battles, was an independent soldier, and she traveled all across the country as a Confederate spy during the Civil War. She was wounded, arrested, and almost caught a few times, but in the end she just retired from her life as an undercover male soldier. She even wrote a book titled The Woman in Battle, a narrative of the exploits, adventures, and travels of Madame Loreta Velazquez. There were many women playing important roles during the Civil War. These roles included being nurses, spies, soldiers, abolitionists, civil rights advocates, and also promoters of women's suffrage. As many of our past history classes have taught us, a cause of the Civil War was the root of the many issues such as slavery, social issues, and economic differences between the North and the South. The South had a problem with the social roles that were changing in slavery, especially with the North being free. Although she did dress up as a man, she published her book, which contained 600 pages of what it was like to do what she had done during the Civil War. She was a Victorian-era woman who made no apologies about breaking every gender, social, and ethnic boundary. Loreta isn't the only woman in history to have hidden her identity in order to fight in a war. There are many notable women who have stepped up in what many have thought was a man thing to do, some even making it known that they were actually women. Loreta went against her husband's wishes to get involved in the army, even after he had specifically told her not to. She gathered other women to fight, and she also traveled across the North and the South side, acting as a spy and working independently. Velazquez maintained that she had always wished for the privileges and status granted to the men that were denied to women. She demonstrated independence, which can be compared to ideals of freedom, and she wanted women equality. Nowadays, there are many women knowingly fighting in the army, and even some have high ranks or positions. There are also women of color fighting, and there is a combination of both men and women out in the fields.